All right, so Instagram's telling everybody that I'm online. Hello. Nitin, you're the first one to join it. We've got cricket with Chandrama and six others who join us right now. Um, who else? I've got Ravi. I've got everybody who's joining, and thank you so much for joining in, guys. Today is going to be very special. I've got Mayanti Langer joining me in just a bit. Let me see if I've got a request. Nope, I'm just waiting for her. Oh, there she is. I think I have her here. Hi, Vaishali. Vaishali is a very dear friend of mine, and she joins in every single time. I've just sent a request to Mayanti to join us, and she'll be here very soon. I see everybody saying that I'm very excited. Well, you have no idea how excited I am for this. Who else? Manish is saying hi. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Vaishali. See, I finally kept up to my promise and I said a hi to you and join in with all the questions that you have. If you have any questions for me right now, you can ask me right away. Yep, I am right now in India. I came back from Australia right after the Women's World Cup got over, and I was in quarantine for 14 days. And let me tell you that India had a medical immigration, and I was screened before they allowed me to enter Mumbai. So I am going to send a request to Mayanti again. Let's see if I just. Hello.
Hi. Sorry, little Instagram challenged.
No problem. It's happening to me all the time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
How are
But
you,
I think
Ridhima?
I am good. How are you?
Good, doing well. Doing well. Good to see you. Quite a few people have joined. That's pretty cool.
It's all because of you know that, right?
No, no,
I
I don't
mean,
think it's.
this is the most popular demand that I've had to get you somehow. So thank you so much for joining me here.
Of course, of course. No, thank you for asking me. I think it's so nice that two of us get to chat like this because we work in the similar field basically. But the only time we actually really got to talk was the Cricket World Cup this time during in England.
Yeah.
So and we've been following each other's work for a while. So it's really nice to be able to do something like this.
I think, Mayanti, I have to correct you here. Following is a wrong word from my side. I have been stalking your work is the
I
word.
doubt that.
No, no, I have really been stalking your work, and I have to tell you that when I came in, everybody told me that the one person to look up to is Mayanti. And
Really?
apart
Wow.
from every good thing that everybody said, one thing that they said about you, that you were one of the best people to work with, one of the
Really? That's
easiest
so
anchors
sweet.
to work with.
Yeah.
So what is it about you that makes you one of the best people to work with that you think?
Oh God, I don't know. You should have asked them to
I, I,
expand on
I
it
asked him,
further.
I asked him, and I
Uh,
thought this is something, this is the first thing that I can learn from you. Everybody who's tuned in right now will agree to this, that you're the kindest, you're the most easygoing person. So what do you think is one of the key factors of professional ethics?
I think that's that. We're so blessed to work in this profession, Ridhima, and we are privileged. I always use the word privilege, really. So you have to, I think, accept that with a little bit of humility because there's so many people who want this job, and you have to really enjoy the responsibility and cherish those moments. So it's better to live in that moment and not try and change yourself too much as a person because that's the first reason that you got the job anyway. So I
Yeah.
think that's that, and I come from a very grounded family. I mean, I've got an army background, and everyone in my life is, very probably in my friend circle, apart from, of course, the friend circle I was introduced to after I met Stu. But before that, no one was into sports, so it's not a big deal for them really to see me on TV or anything like that. So that's really nice. That also keeps you very, very grounded in a sense, and it's good to be true to yourself. I really believe that because that will get through to some very tough moments. This career is tough, once sometimes you're in
Yeah.
the spotlight and then you're out of the spotlight, and it's a very short shelf life. You don't know how long it will last. So you might as well enjoy those moments and be in a sense, be grateful for those moments rather than trying to throw your weight around before you've earned it. And even if you have earned it, why do you want to be that sort of person? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just go back a little because I've never got this opportunity to ask you that, yeah, is it by accident that or you always wanted
Total
to be a
accident.
reporter?
No,
Total
no,
accident?
total accident. I very much, the backbencher in school, college, kind of just wanted to stay away from the spotlight. Still am very introverted in a sense, but it's funny because once the camera rolls, like boom, you can't get me to stop talking. So maybe that's why. Maybe when it first happened for me, when I went for my first audition and I started talking in front of the camera, I never really felt very conscious about it. And
Hmm.
you know what I mean? I never, it was never my intention or my dream job or anything like that. It was just an opportunity that came along. So I was like, okay, might as well try and just be me. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's an accident that's gone on for like 13, 14 years now. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah.
But you played football as well, right? You.
Little bit in I was always actively involved in sports, and
Yeah.
I think that was my dad really is something that my dad really pushed. Actually, my parents really pushed my brother and I to play school sports and college sports because it's about building teamwork and life skills, and sports basically brings you that if you're not going to be like a professional athlete, for example. So it was just an interest. It wasn't ever
Yeah.
something that I was like, oh, I'm going to play football for India one day or something like that. It wasn't really like that. So it's amazing how an interest in this sport has actually kind of snowballed into a career like this.
Yeah. Turned out into an all different profession. But
Yeah,
now
exactly.
we see you as a cricket anchor, but we
Yeah,
know
that's
you
right.
have
Yeah.
hosted multiple World Cups across sports. So let's begin with
Hmm.
the first question as to which was your favorite.
Which World Cup was my favorite?
Yeah.
Good question. I would say obviously doing the 2000, the 2010 Football World Cup was a huge moment in my career
Yeah.
because it was me stepping into the big leagues, and
Yeah.
it's a global event, it's an international event, and it was hosting alongside people who I had grown up admiring, people like John Dykes, and I had literally grown up watching him. So it was amazing to be able to be given that. And football was my first love. So it wasn't something that I found very difficult or complicated or scared of hosting. It was just very natural. But that World Cup will always be special for me because it was stepping into the big leagues. It wasn't my first. Hockey World Cup was actually my first. But the reception that I got after that made me realize that, A, you can do this. And I think
Yeah.
made other people realize that she can handle that responsibility. So it was a huge turning point in my career. And the 2019, the Cricket World Cup. Mainly because I guess it's been 3 Cricket World Cups for me back to back.
Yeah.
2015 was very special because Stuart was part of the team. So,
Yeah.
we have this one moment that we both really share, which was the first game was India-Pakistan that I had done, which was in Adelaide. And it's the first time I had witnessed India-Pakistan like in person. And to be
Yeah.
in a foreign country and hear your national anthem and then just look across and see the team standing and then to see the person, your partner, the person that you love also standing amongst the teams singing the national anthem. It was, very few people get to experience something like that. So that, yes, 2015 World Cup was special, but 2019 was even more so because um, I never thought I could, go as far as to be able to do the 2019, and it's 3 back to back. So it was like my hat trick, and you don't know what the
Yeah.
future holds. And it finally took me to all the cricketing places I had never been. Like I had never been to Lords, the home of cricket. Imagine being a cricket presenter and you've never
This is
been
the
to Lords.
2019 World Cup.
I had never been to Lords, and
Oh.
the first game that I did in England, because half of it we did in our Mumbai studios, was at Lords, which was also the anniversary of India winning the World Cup. And
Yeah.
for myself to be the daughter-in-law of a World Cup winner, standing with Sunil Gavaskar, his teammate at Lords, right next to that balcony where he celebrated, and Stuart had also come to watch the game. It was such a special moment that no one knows about that, but that's one of the behind the scenes moments. I immediately FaceTime my father-in-law just before the show, and I'm like, look where I am. Look,
Yeah.
that's the balcony. That's where, you became a world champion. That's where you created history, and I finally come here. So it was amazing to have been able to have my first visit at Lord's on a day like that. So that's why that World Cup was very special to me.
Beautiful. Well, that's the only World Cup I have done so far. So it
Yeah,
is
you'll
one
do
of
many
my
more in the future. Don't worry. Yeah,
more special moments. Okay, Mayanti, we're going to
yeah.
quickly take people's questions also online
Okay,
because
cool. Yeah, quite a few. Yeah.
everybody gets very angry if I don't ask you the question. So I have to take the very first one is Life of Abby, who asks you, how hectic is the IPL schedule for the studios? Do you get challenged to cope with the logistics? I think it's a good one because
Yeah, it's a great
traveling.
question.
Yeah,
You're right. The first season for myself was very hectic because I did every single day, uh, every single day. And what got challenging wasn't so much being on air every day, was also traveling in between. So let's say if
yeah,
I would go to venue, I would travel that morning, do that match that evening, and then the next morning travel back to Mumbai studios, and then the next day travel, let's say, to Delhi. That got challenging. But Ridhima, I had waited so long to do IPL, like
I
literally
know.
10 years to do IPL, that I was like, dude, this is your moment. Like, just
Yeah,
suck it up, do all 45 match days back to back. The challenge is, I guess, the challenge that most viewers also have, Rhythma, is that sometimes you hit a lull in the middle period, right? And
yeah,
everyone's a little confused. We're like, okay, we don't really know what's going on, what's going to happen. Our team follows. And that for us as broadcasters is challenging because every day is a new match. Every day, not the same people are not tuning in every day, right?
yeah,
So you as broadcasters, as commentators, as your experts, you have to really push yourself to every day
yeah,
is like a brand new day, and you have to treat it
yeah.
like that. And it sets in, the physical exhaustion does in a way set in, the mental exhaustion. You're like, oh, didn't they just play yesterday? Aren't they playing? Like that. It happens sometimes. You know how it is. You may have done 20
Yeah.
matches back to back, and you'll still forget like a first 11. You're like, really, this guy plays. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Which genuinely happens. We'll all have those moments.
No,
We'll
it
be
does.
like, oh wait, what happened in the last game?
Yeah.
So those are some of the mental challenges. But hey, like it's a blast. At the end of the day, it's IPL, it's biggest carnival. So it's a lot of fun doing that sort of tournament. Yeah.
I know this that you waited too long for the IPL and you also faced multiple rejections, right?
Hmm.
Rejections has been a part of everybody who's wanted to be on
Of
TV.
course, yeah, yeah.
Would you say that it is an achievement at par with everything that you've done, a little more because you wanted it so much?
No, a lot of people have asked me that question. I think it would be a great story, if
Yeah.
there was some sort of, let's say, vindication or vengeance or revenge, or I'll show you. But it wasn't, because those first years of IPL that I didn't get to host, and yes, it was 4 years of tough rejection, tough in the sense that they call you down, they call you for the auditions, and then they're like, you're in it, or you're in the race, and then they're like, okay, you're not what we're looking for. So the 4 years to face that back to back is tough until you have to kind of make your peace with it. I was like, okay, maybe I'm obviously still working in sports broadcasting, so it's not like I don't have it, but maybe I'm just not what they're looking for. Let me make my peace with it. And then, Ridhima, I enjoyed IPL as a partner to be, because Stuart has played 10 years of IPL for three different teams.
Yeah.
So you don't get to do those things as a broadcaster where you wear a team jersey and you travel with the family and you travel with the team and you're emotionally invested in the games, because you're not supposed to do that as a broadcaster. So I think those years were great for me to be able to share that with him. And what? It's 7 years with the Rajasthan Royals. They are family. You've grown
Yeah.
up with them. It's 1 year of RCB reaching the final in Bangalore, which is home for
Yeah.
us. So those are moments I don't think I would have got as a broadcaster. So when I did finally get it, there wasn't anything like that where I was like, no, I'll show them. No, it wasn't. It was just like, okay, your moment has come. You've made your peace with it. Might as well just enjoy it.
Which gets me to the way you met your husbands too. That's also
Hmm.
very funny because I
Yeah. What
saw
have
it
you heard?
somewhere. Yeah, I saw somewhere
Tell me
that
what
the
you
producer
heard.
then
Yeah.
told you that he's engaged and you're supposed to congratulate him on air. Is that
Mm.
true?
Yeah, it is true. My God, that don't ever trust your producers, basically. This was for ICL, the Indian Cricket League, which is the first time that I had done cricket, and it was also it was before IPL. It was Eventually the cricketers, they were banned. Yeah, I mean, that's a different story. But Stuart had done really the seasons. There were 3 seasons, but it wasn't like it was every year. It was every 6 months. So Stuart
Yeah.
was one of the domestic players who had done really well in the second season. His team had gone on to win the Hyderabad Heroes. Him and Ambati Raidu, they were together in that. And so he was like one of the players to watch when season
Yeah.
three started. So it was literally the first interview of season three. And I didn't really know him at that time, like just in passing. I hadn't had a chance to really chat with him or talk with him, but I knew that. So they're like, okay, he used to hang out with a lot of the production crew because they were all young, they were all the same age, and they're like, oh, listen, congratulate him also at the end because he just got engaged. So I did my interview and I'm like, oh, by the way, I hear congratulations are in order because you just got engaged. And he's just like, no, you need to correct your information. And I'm like, okay. But you.
So when
And
okay,
everyone,
I can fix that.
I'm like, okay, right. So, but it was so funny because it actually got us talking, just as friends. It kind of broke the ice. And then I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. And he's like, no, it's okay. And then, like, a year or so later, we had kept in touch all that while. A year or so later is when we finally did get together, when things in that sense worked out personally. But yeah, that was quite funny. I don't think I've ever asked anyone a personal question after that.
Never.
Like, no,
I don't care if
मुझसे
you're
नहीं
engaged
होगा.
or married,
Yeah.
not asking.
No, not happening. मुझसे नहीं होगा. You tell me, I'll congratulate you. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright. Very recently, Mayanti, I'm just, you can just stop me from getting into a personal space. I'm going to ask you a personal question. But we, as women presenters, and I know a lot of people have asked you that, we're seen in a certain package and we get trolled for it. And
Yeah.
and the fans that we love and who also cherish every moment that we are on TV and appreciate the work that we have can also be very bitter on certain things that might hurt us a lot. A lot of that has also happened with you. How you take that?
Uh, I guess it's a journey, isn't it? To some extent, it's during my career, I guess, is when social media has really blown up because when I started, I don't think it was that important to maintain these social media handles and have that sort of persona. And it's a different way of interaction. And you're right. I think it became really harsh at one point because I remember that during Champions Trophy 2017, for some reason, all that trolling used to become like a press article. And I couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand that if I'm getting trolled for some reason, why does it have to become like an article? And then these various news centers or whatever would be like Mayanti Langa trolled, along with all the comments. And I'm just like, I didn't really understand the logic behind that. So that was it still happens today. That was really, really tough. On one hand, I decided to try and just live with it because I'm like, it's a bad thing in a way, Ridhima, to kind of accept it because it's not really good what you and I are doing. In that sense, we should be standing up for ourselves more often. But then you're engaging people that don't really understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
You're trying to engage people who are going to be chauvinistic or misogynistic and just are just looking for attention. So you're not really, in a sense, trying to get your point across. So I kind of made my peace with it. I've accepted it. I still don't think it's right. I still do. I think it's bullying. And I would really like to see the day when one article pits all the male commentators and their looks against each other instead of like you, me, and the rest, as if we have nothing else that is relevant. But now what I do is I kind of just have fun with it. If I see a comment that I feel that I can have fun with, then I do, and then those become news articles. So it's evolved for me. The only way I kind of stood up to it over Stuart and I, because it was vicious for him, and I'm at least out there more on social media. He isn't. People don't know him at all. They have absolutely no idea what kind of person he is. And by choice. So the most we did was just turn off our comments on Instagram because we just realized that, okay, we don't want that negativity. What it does is that I lose out on, interacting with all these comments that you see here. I lose out interacting with people who want to. But I guess it's a small way of me making a stand saying that, guys, listen, I don't need that negativity,
Yeah. I think that is the best way to do it. And one of the ways that you also mentioned in some of your previous interviews and even now is to just enjoy it. Is to really
Yeah,
enjoy
just
it.
have fun with it. A lot of people
Yeah.
are out there just look. I understand social media. I understand how it works, and I understand like people who are tuning in right now, watching us or leaving comments. We really understand that it's because you guys follow us that we are somebody, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we appreciate that. So there is no point in a way not trying to engage or appreciate that. Of course, I do. But I also understand that I'm never abusive, and I never respond to those that are abusive or just plain cheap or just writing really nasty comments. I find one that I can have fun with. And that's what I do. Might as well. I mean, if you're gonna make fun of me, if you're gonna give it to me, you might as well be able to take it back a little bit. That's my logic. If you're on social media, that is.
All right. This is an interesting question by Michaela. Which sports person do you get starstruck with? Is there any for you?
I don't think so, and I really don't
Yeah.
mean that in a bad way. I think that's one of the best things about being in this profession is that you shouldn't really get awestruck or starstruck because then, frankly, you can't do your job. If you have
Yeah.
like your fangirl or fanboy moment then you just can't be like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
you have to appreciate the kind of legends that you work with. And I always do that. And what's amazing is that when you work so long in cricket, and especially when some of the shows that we do, we always try and do especially test matches, let's go down memory lane and relive some great moments. And then you're sitting with those people who have participated in those moments. That's always a wow factor for me.
Yeah.
But I think the one person that kind of did really catch me off guard was also because that event was like really hastily organized. Was, if you remember, once Puma had brought Yuvraj Singh and Usain Bolt together in Bangalore.
Yes.
And they were
Yes.
just like, okay, go interview. And I'm like, ask them what? And it's like Usain Bolt just walked in, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Usain Bolt. Because you're used to seeing so many cricketers, and of course you appreciate that because they talk to you and they're friendly, and Usain Bolt was like, what's up? And we're all of us are like, even UV was looking at him like, okay, cool, that's Usain Bolt here. So I think that would be probably the only time where all of us were just like a little starstruck. Yeah.
All right. All right. So, Mayanti, let's play a little bit of
Okay.
a game because to get the audience more
Yeah.
interactive and you guys can keep your questions coming in. But I think one thing about live broadcasting is the fact that yesterday I was talking to Suhail. So, Suhail, everybody knows him now because we were
Yeah.
live with Suhail yesterday
Yeah.
and Suhail is with you at Star. So, Suhail made this amazing game of transitions from one thing to another. Okay, so basically, say if there is a phone here with me and there is a pen and there is a notebook, so I go like, all right, so I'm getting a lot of messages right now on my phone, and they're all for you, Mayanti. And let me quickly write down their names using this pen
Okay.
in my notebook. So that's like a transition that I made. So if
Yeah.
you got like,
Yeah.
so I'm just telling. So here, I've completely copied his game. So if there are three things around you,
So,
let's
Hale,
make
you
a
have
transition
way
game.
too much time to be able to thinking of these games, okay? All of us have way too much time right now.
All right. So, do you have like three things around you that you would want to transition and play this a little, just to
Uh,
teach people how to
to be
transition?
very honest, I don't because actually before the lockdown happens, Stu and I were shifting. So all our stuff is in our new house. We are left with a TV and a mattress here and a working kitchen. So I actually don't really have much. I have this
A cup.
and a cup. I have speakers and what else can I use? Oh, I have my
I think
glasses.
that'll do. So I can see
That'll
your
do.
earplugs, a
Yeah.
cup.
Aha.
So
I
here,
have my glasses.
awesome. So
Okay.
cup,
Cool.
glasses, and what's the third one?
Speakers.
Speaker. Perfect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's tell people how we transition between different shots of camera. So let's
Okay.
start with the speaker.
Okay.
Go for it.
No, you start. I have to still
Oh,
understand the game.
I did give you an example. Okay, all
Okay.
right. So let's do speaker, glasses, and
Okay. Okay.
so
Okay. So I'm wearing my AirPods so that I can hear. I'm hearing the speaker so I can, of course, hear you a lot better. But I can't really see you. So it means that I need to be able to see you. There we go. So, two of my senses are covered here. But you know what, Ridhima, the last sense needs to be covered. And that is, of course, taste something, which I could do with my little teacup here. So there you go. Cheers to
perfect.
you.
And there you go. Mayanti's completely aced this game, and Suhail has introduced me to this game, so you know how to make transitions just
That's
as
very
smooth
cool.
as Mayanti
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
So
But
that's
I
that.
think
That's
I must say that's a pretty cool, like a live scenario trick, isn't it? Because you have to be very spontaneous, and that's a nice skill to practice.
Yeah, it was completely introduced to me yesterday. So, and which
Yeah.
gets me to the first thing about live scenario that a lot of people may not realize
Mm.
is this earplug that is right now in your ear
Yeah.
is with
Yeah.
us 24 by 7 when we're in the studio. What was your
Yeah.
first live experience like when that
Uh,
first voice came in?
yeah, yeah. That's again a funny thing. I think it was for me, it was a similar experience of when the first time I was facing the camera where it didn't really psych me out too much. It didn't throw me off my game. And again, that was not something that I had anticipated. Suddenly they're like, okay, you just wear this earpiece, and it was a very odd feeling. You're alone in a studio and someone is looking, now read to this camera, read to this camera, now read to that camera. And it's really funny, but it didn't feel unnatural to me at all, to be honest. In fact, it was like it's unnatural for the people who are not connected, because I have such a good time with the people, the voices in my head or the voices in my ear, like your producers. And usually, as you know, Ridhima, they're offsite. They're you're in another country sometimes, and they're sitting back
Yeah,
in the production room in, let's say, the Mumbai studios. And it's a whole bunch of people that I like everyone patched in. I like to be able to hear every single person. I'm not one of those
okay.
who's like only speak to me when it's required. I like hearing everything. I like hearing the experts at the same time. Like, I like that noise. I enjoy it. And suddenly we'll be cracking, like, and I'm like, oh, sorry. Especially if it's like someone new who is not used to that. And they just be like, is she talking to herself? I think she's talking to herself. And I'll be talking to myself and passing jokes. But this earpiece is important, not just because you can do your job, but it also really sets the mood for me. It connects me to my team, to the content team, and the the entire team that is in the control room, and it sets the tone, it sets the mood. We share a few laughs, and if you're really comfortable with your producer, like I have been, then sometimes they'll like pass jokes while something really serious is going on, and that in itself is an inherent challenge, because you're like, don't laugh right now, the camera's on you, so it keeps you in such a good mood. It keeps you very lively. It keeps you very active. And it's very often that there are other things you hear in your ear rather than instructions to you. Because they'll just be like, oh, Mayanti, break le lo. And I'm like,
So, what is the
thanks.
funniest thing that has happened? So, like one funny goof up. Like I'll tell you mine. All right.
Hmm.
One thing when I started on is that there was something happening in the PCR, and just like you, I want to hear everything that's happening in the PCR. All
Hmm.
right.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it so happened that my producer had to scream on somebody, and it went like, "What are you doing?" And I did that on air. I said, "What are you doing?" On live
Really?
camera. I did that. This is in studio, one of my first studios, because I just said exactly what my
Yeah.
producer had to say. And
Oh,
it was one
God.
of the most
That's hard,
embarrassing
isn't it?
moments because
Yeah.
both my
Yeah.
guests are looking at me. What happened? We are in the middle of a discussion. What is she
Yeah.
saying? I'm like, no, no, I'm sorry, I missed out on what you're saying. So I just wanted to know that. Can you just repeat it again? So I had to
Yeah.
quickly cover it up. So
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
most funny things that happened to me on live was this. What was yours?
So I don't think I've responded. Like, so once I don't even know why this happened, but once, so I got an instruction, something like, move on. And I actually looked towards the control room and I'm like, all right. So, and then like, why? Look at the camera, you know, this was a long time back actually. So I got the instruction and I just naturally looked at them like you're hearing someone. And then I look back at the camera and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, sorry. That was a very natural reaction. I've done that, but sometimes that happens to your guests. So that's happened to a couple of my guests when they were patched in, and of course, someone who's getting blasted and whatever. They're like, so we had a one. It happens sometimes. We have very really tough shows, and the guy is like, the producer was basically talking to the graphics guy, and he's like, listen, can you just stop talking and tell me what I want to know? And my guest was like, and I'm like, no, not you. So that's happened before. And he's like, so sorry, I didn't mean you. I was talking to someone else. And he just like stopped mid-sentence. And I'm like, right. So like you were saying. So that it's not just you that's get affected sometimes. It's unfortunately, if anyone is patched in, it's really difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, it's any. So one question that has come up from Rohit Acidic, who says that who do you think among the current lot of Indian cricketers will turn out to be a good commentator post-retirement?
Who do we think will turn out to be a good commentator? Yuzvendra Chahal. I mean, he's already,
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's already doing the whole interviewing bit and all of that.
Chahal
So
TV is
yeah,
quite the
it's booming.
tehelka.
It's quiet, seriously. I think he's definitely, if not commentary, I actually think he'll be a good host. You know, commentary and hosting are two different skills. So I think he'd be a really good host and he'd be able to, move a show along and definitely do one of, like how Viru is, how Viru is when he does things and takes it in his own way. So I think Chahel will be someone who will be able to get that out of the guests. I'm looking forward to his career in television broadcast.
Perfect. Awesome. So, Mayanti, let's just play another game before we move on to knowing more aspects of your life. This is a game called Who Am I? All right, where you have to guess the cricketer. I'm going to give you a couple of clues.
Okay.
If you need more clue, I'm going to give you one clue, then second clue, and if you need a third clue, I'll move on to that one.
Okay.
So, you ready for this?
Yeah, let's go.
Everybody
Guys, all
who's
of you
watching
have
us
to
right
help
now,
also,
feel
yeah.
free to guess it. And Mayanti, you have to actually guess it before anybody else does here on live on Instagram. So starting with the very first one, who am I? Okay, so clue number one is, I chose left-handed batting to use my elder brother's cricketing gear. Clue number two is, I held my team to 50 overs World Cup final but never won the title. Who is the cricketer that I'm talking about? I think there's poor network, so I can't. Yep. Indian cricketer.
Okay, then I'm going to go with Saurav Ganguly because World Cup, but hadn't won it.
Perfect.
Yeah?
It is Saurav Ganguly, and along with you, there's the guy called
I got it
Shrikum
before that
Mandhari,
guy.
who's also guessed it. And
it
it
before.
is also a lot
Well
of people
done.
guessed it. So
Well
perfect.
done, guys.
That
Well
one you
done,
got.
yeah.
Moving on to the second one. Clue number one is, my last test victim was Indian cricketer Pragyan Ojha, who was also live with us yesterday with Suhail.
Oh, nice.
Clue
Okay.
number two is, Yuvraj Singh once said he feared facing me due to my bowling action.
Oh my God. Guys,
If you need a
help.
third clue, I can help you
I
with that
think
one.
so. Yeah. Come on, guys. I need your help also. What do you think?
All right, so the third clue is, I retired from international cricket post the 2011 World Cup final between India and Sri Lanka. This is the giveaway.
Oh, I don't know who this is.
So
Guys,
I think...
what do you think? Someone saying Brett Lee. No, it can't be Brett Lee. Murli Tharan. Is it Murli Tharan?
Muralitharan.
Because,
Yeah.
Well
Murli
done.
Tharan
Well
it
done.
is.
Yeah,
So a
I
lot of
got
people
that because
guessed
I
it.
heard it. Yeah,
So
well done, guys.
well done. But this one this
But I
point
lose
doesn't
that.
go to you, Mayanti, because a lot
No.
of people guessed it before
Yeah.
before you
Done,
did.
done.
All right, third one. I'm sure this is going to be really easy. Clue number one. I'm an Indian cricketing legend, made our debut in the same test, playing for different teams.
Okay.
I dismissed the same Indian cricketing legend for a duck in his first ODI against our team.
All right. People are still saying Murli. It can't be that. Third, another clue.
You need another one?
I have a feeling who it could be, if an Indian cricketing legend. So, say the first one again. Indian cricketing legend.
I made an Indian cricketing legend, made our debut in the same test, playing for different teams.
Okay,
I
someone
dismissed the
said
same
Sachin.
Indian cricketing legend.
Okay, yeah. So someone is saying Sachin, which means it should be Wakar then.
It is Vakar. It
Yeah.
is Vakar.
Okay. Cool. Nice.
Okay, so you've
Thanks
got
for the
2
clue,
points so
guys.
far. You've got 2 points so far. I'll give you the third one, and this is the easiest of the lot. I was run out for a first ball duck in my first ODI. I think this one everybody should be able to
Really
guess.
easy. Everyone knows that. Let's see who gets it first. I mean, I know who it is, guys. Come on.
Okay, so guys, who guesses it first? Well, I was run out for a first ball duck in my first ODI.
No, not sure, Bakhtar. Come on. Guys, MS is like the most famous run out.
Okay, cricket happened to me by accident.
There we go.
MS Dhoni.
Dhoni. Well done, guys. Yeah, that's a story we all know. Yeah, so that has to be. I mean, I'm sure it's happened to a lot of cricketers. It's the easiest one we know. Okay.
Yeah, it is a story that we all know. And
yeah.
so coming back to us, and we'll continue with that game a little later. If you had a tip for every girl who wants to join sports broadcasting, which is also me, what would be your tip?
You know what, Ridhima, I mean, seeing your work as well and the interactions that we've had, I think this there's a definite shift in the trend of how women sports broadcasters are judged. And of course, like we spoke about earlier, you're still kind of perceived on for the way you look and the way that you dress. And that's like that's a battle, I guess, that will keep going on for some time. But the biggest tip I would say is that don't think of yourself as a woman broadcaster. Just take gender out of the equation, because you're a sports broadcaster. And running that studio is a responsibility irrespective of your gender, and talking and moderating that conversation, your gender really does not play a role into it. So that has to be the biggest tip. That's how I've focused on my entire career, and the people who've given me opportunities are those who've never really played my gender into the equation. I have the same responsibilities or expectations as my male colleagues, and if they fail at certain things and I fail at certain things, they're hard on both of us, and that's the way it should be. So I think that's a really good way to look at your career, because you're like, let me put it this way. If you want to be the best, you're not pitting yourself against women. You're pitting yourself against everyone, right? Every sports broadcaster that's out there. So that's the way I think that you need to look at it.
So when you got into this career, so you've become the role model for many who are coming in. When you started this career, did you have a role model?
I didn't really, and it's good and bad in a way. The good thing is that you never wanted to be like somebody, and you could always be yourself. So I could always just be Mayanti, and that's what I've done for the last 13, 14 years is just be Mayanti. The bad thing, I guess, in that is that sometimes you have to figure it out all on your own. You don't really know. You don't really know whether you're doing things right. So you don't really have a mentor that you can call, or you don't have that. So I guess you learn from the people that you work around, and you learn from watching yourself, and you learn from your own mistakes. And that's a really good way of handling things. But if I have to say, if I admired someone, one was John Dykes. I loved the way John Dykes conducted himself personally and professionally as a person. I mean, professionally, he's beyond par. He's excellent. But personally, the way that he treated me when we first worked together on the World Cup was with so much respect. And I'm like this 20-year-old girl who could have just been cast aside. And it wasn't like that. It was like, okay, we are a team. We're doing this together. And I'm like, that's the kind of person I want to be. Every single person who comes into this industry, whether it's 6 months or 6 years or 60 years or 16 years or whatever it is, you have to treat people with respect, and that will make you, makes you a true professional. So one was definitely him and I still admire him quite a bit.
All right. So there's plenty of questions where everybody's asked the same question is, when will we see Mayanti on Cricket Live, and when is IPL happening? I think you should just answer.
Guys,
I don't have an answer to that, so please go ahead.
None of us have an answer to that. Guys, we are obviously, as not just a nation, but the entire world is going through a very unprecedented time. It's something that at least our generation has not experienced something like this before. And there's a lot of uncertainty, and there is a lot of fear, and there are a lot of challenges that a lot of people are facing. And the one thing that binds us is that we're all in this together. So I guess we have to realize that this too shall pass, and whatever needs to happen for the safety of other individuals right now is a little more important than anything else, because sport will always be there. Sport will always persevere. And that has always happened even in the toughest times that the world has faced. And that's what we're going through right now. So, well, I tell you what, when Cricket Live is back, it'd be great to see all of you again. But until then, stay safe, stay home,
stay healthy,
stay healthy, watch more of what Ridhima is doing on Instagram when she goes live. Yeah,
but it's great how Instagram has played this amazing tool, to keep everybody engaged. Another question that everybody's asking you: who's your favorite cricketer apart from your own husband?
Roger Binney.
There you go. And from the current lot?
It's not right to pick favorites, is it? You can't. You can't pick favorites. No, I don't know. I mean, is it easy for you to pick favorites when you look at the current lot?
Well, for me, I do actually have a favorite. Yeah. Also because I came into cricket very late. I have done other sports. If you ask me my favorite cricketer, so I have actually come from the bench of a fan and an audience and into the ground now. So so there is this journey that I'm still making from being like an absolute Indian team fan to now being Okay, so now I need to ask them questions. Look at their also like look at them from a critic point of view because before it was all India, India,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So yeah, I do actually have a favorite, but I'm sure
I
for you because
Yeah, see,
you
you were saying?
eat, breathe, live cricket, so it might get really tough because you're there all
Yeah,
the
it
time.
is. It is very tough, and it's a different experience because on one hand you've had a chance to get to know most of the cricketers as broadcasters, because you work with them, and some of them have retired and just walk into your box. And secondly, then you've had about. I mean, I've been married to someone who's played for India, so you've seen them in their personal lives as well, and you have that sort of relationship. So you can't really pick favorites that way because I've been I've been lucky to see that part of their lives too and see them in the very, very human moments. And they are individuals. They are people like you and me. So, yeah, it's hard. But I mean, look, all of us have, we talk about the Fab Four, let's say, of cricket, and every generation has those greats. And then we look at our generation and say that, okay, we're the generation that saw Sachin, and we're the generation that is, seeing it being passed on to Virat Kohli. And we will see Virat Kohli at the end of his career. We never saw Sir Donald Bradman. We didn't see people like Sir Garfield Sobers. But we are the generation who get to see these particular one, or, like Rohit Sharma, whatever. You get to see these particular once in a lifetime cricketers. So a team like the current Indian team is right now. Um, it's a team that is very strong. It's a team that can win titles. So I think you enjoy that. You enjoy being part of that transition, don't you?
What has been your favorite match? Which is that cricketing moment that you just can't forget?
What has been my favorite match? Oh God, let's World Cup was final was pretty intense, wasn't it?
Oh, the 2019 one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that was pretty
Oh,
intense. Oh man, that was, and again, just being there, being by, literally sitting just outside the boundary, like, okay, what's happening now? Is there a super over? Is there, it was an incredible moment to be part of, and
incredible day because the Wimbledon final was also happening the same day.
exactly, yeah,
And there
and
was
there were
this
some people
banter
who
going
had
on
their,
between
yeah.
ICC and Wimbledon on Twitter.
And
Yep, it was a
you're
crazy day.
right, you're right. And just before because all of us had got ready and we entered the field of play already because we're like, all right, game over, it's 49 and, it's 45 overs, 5 overs left, let's go down, let's get ready. And that's exactly what we had done. And then we're like, okay, hang on, this is going to take a little longer to finish off. And everyone was just like, what's going on? And in a way, Ridhima, it was kind of nice that your own, in a way, your national team wasn't playing. So you could actually see it from a different point of view because you're sitting in England and just in the breather, like the whole stadium suddenly erupted into Sweet Caroline, which is a song, that they sing for the England team. And I think that was an incredible moment to see right there, right from the stands, right sitting by the boundary and seeing all these ex-England cricketers who are going to be experts on your show just walking around, and everyone was caught up in that moment. So I think that is a match, and to see my first India-Pakistan match, the one I'd mentioned in Adelaide, in
Yes,
flesh. Yeah, I'd
yes.
never seen an India-Pakistan match in flesh before. To see it in Adelaide, and I remember Virat Kohli scored 100, and I was in the stands when Virat scored 100, and it was like a sea of blue and a sea of green, and that's all you could see in the stands.
Yeah.
That's all you could see. So that was also a very, very special game to be able to witness that.
In fact, now that you mention it, the 2019 World Cup, about it's kind of good that your team's not participating. Now, from a total fan perspective, I was right there on the boundary during the Super Over
Mm.
because I
Mm.
was with the digital team waiting
Yeah,
to go
exactly.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, waiting to go in. So we were actually watching them up close and personal. And there were these Indian, my co-producers and everybody were right
Mm.
there. And they went like, we're so glad India is not playing today because you couldn't handle the heartbreak.
It
Or
was,
or
yeah,
what
I
is going to
know.
happen in the next ball? I mean, as an Indian
I
fan,
know.
I would faint. I would really faint.
Well, you were there for the semi-final in Manchester, right? The one
Yeah,
against
I
New
was there.
Zealand. Yeah, so it was
Yep.
the same thing. We were all there, and
But the
again,
second day did not have so much of an
second day.
adrenaline.
Yeah, because all the energy had gone into the first day, right? And
Yeah.
then second day just started in a, first and foremost, it was the second day. Like, how often do you play? So, at least we haven't done that. And so that was a very like odd day to be a part of. And I remember watching it and being again by the boundary. And there was just this. So we were just near the Indian team dressing room where they walked up. So we were just underneath that, just waiting to go onto the field for our shows. So the substitutes were sitting right in front of you. And then the Indian fans were in the stand, which was just here on the left. And there was a couple of us who had come down. And so I was there when MS got out. And MS just walked back and walked up the stairs and like stoic, like you just could not, you couldn't read his emotions as you normally can't. And everyone was just looking at him and he just walked back. You could see the emotions of the substitutes. They had, tears in their eyes. You could see the fans, and the fans was like, Mahi, you've given us everything. And I felt it, Ridhima, because even though you're supposed to be neutral, that's your team that you're like, okay, this, guys, it's happening. They're crashing out of this World Cup. And all of us just looked at each other and we were just gutted. And then to see MS Dhoni just walking up like that, all of us just looked at him. We went into the dressing room. We just looked at each other. We looked back and we're like, okay, ouch, that hurt. So it's easy to say that let's not get emotional. But during a thing like a World Cup, it's really very hard. And after that, I remember game over. India out of the World Cup. Okay, job to do. Walked onto the field. I shook the hands of the substitutes and I'm like, congrats guys. We're so proud of you. But one of them, like I won't name who, just had like tears streaming down his face. But I had to do that. I had to say, you don't usually do that. We're like, no guys, we're so proud of you. Thank you for this journey. The whole country's proud of you. But they were gutted. They didn't want to hear that in that moment. So it was tough. It was tough to see that. And then I remember like there are a couple of guys that we know from New Zealand as well because of the IPL. And I remember going to them and I'm like, congrats guys. Big moments. And you have to do that. You have to do that.
So when you say, so this is where, again, a skill of a broadcaster comes in, because you're going live right after the match is done, right? You're live and then you throw to the post-match presentation and then you come back and you're live, basically, once the match gets done. How do you shift gears between the emotion? Because
I didn't think it was very hard, actually. On that particular day, maybe it was hard. I think it was hard for everyone, but we had a job to do and we had to be, of course, very stoic about what had happened. We're like, okay, guys, this is it. We know you're all hurting and, India's out of the World Cup and look, this hurts because this is an incredible team. And then the players are right there and you can see them and you can see their faces. And I don't think the shift is very hard because you have to have that. Because even if you have a bad day, let's say you're just having a personally bad day, something's going on in your life and you know that, you can't let it show on your face. You can't let it show on the screen. So I'll take those 10 moments before we go. I anyway take those 10, 15 moments before we go on air and just either listen to music or if Stuart is free, I FaceTime him. I just take my mind off things. And again, I just did that. I was like, okay, I just walked around a little bit away from my mark. So everyone was panicking, get back to your mark. Get back to your mark. I was like, I'm right here. You can see me. And I'm just like, okay, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to talk about. This is how we set the tone, and just, you have to do that. Because once you're on air, there is no moment that you can let that show on your face.
Yeah. I think this is what comes with experience, I believe.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite commentator or a host that you've had?
Co-comment? You mean like an expert or someone that I've, like a host, a fellow host that I worked with?
I mean, we've had even cricketers who've now gotten into hosting that you host with. So either way, as an expert or a host, who's been your favorite to share the screen with?
I think someone who understands me really well and, gets my vibe is, and the three people actually. One is VVS Lakshman. Totally gets me, totally gets my vibe. Totally loves taking my trip on air also, which is great because you see those very human moments. And when we have Lakshman, Brett Lee and myself, it's a riot. I don't know what it is about that combination, but it's Brett Lee's, he's the easiest person in the world to work with. Him and Lakshman, you just leave them. They just like do a show together. Like you have nothing to do in that. And I really enjoy, I enjoy the banter with someone like Kevin Peterson as well, because he has an inherent humor in him. And then he can just really let go in some moments. And then in some moments, he'll be like very capey. And, that's great because you never get a boring answer. You never get something like that. So I think with due respect to everyone, that's those are people that I find easiest, I guess, because they know me very well. And I would also add Sunny G to that list. I would actually really add Sunil Gavaskar because of course he's like you just let him lead, like whatever,
Yeah.
like what he wants to say he says. But he's so thoroughly professional about the way he does things, and then he has such a wicked sense of humor sometimes that
Yeah.
it catches you off guard, and you're trying to be all like serious, can ask a smart question, he'd be like, but you didn't ask when I got my first test wicket. I'm like, you know, so he'll just throw that out there. And I just love that. You know, that's again very human. And that you're working as a team. That's the greatest thing. You know, so that banter in the screen comes across if you're watching at home.
Right. And I cannot agree with you more on Sunny because I actually hosted a live event with
Yeah.
Mr. Sunil Gavaskar. And it was an event where I had to question him. So basically, we were doing like the sports questions. Ki aapka ye kab hua tha? It's like a GK on his own thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, are you seriously? He actually has a great sense of humor. And he's so
Amazing.
captivating with
Yeah.
the audience, it's not
Yeah.
even funny. So I completely agree with you with that.
Yeah. And
All
it's a
right, so
wicked
let's just
sense of humor
wicked
sometimes.
sense of
Yeah.
humor. Kabhi
Yeah.
kabhar so it goes like, uh, what? Did
You're like,
did I,
did you just say
what happened?
that?
And such a gentleman. I remember this instance
Very much.
where I was
Yeah.
on stage with him, and because we were live in the audience, some of my papers fell down. So I let it go. Niche hai, it's in a banter. He said 1 minute. He actually picked out those papers for me and said, here you go. And that gesture really touched me.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think he's really a great man to work with. I completely agree with you.
And I find that we're actually with a lot of the people that you end up working with as well, because there's that sort of perception, but most of them are such gentlemen about those sort of things, you know. And again, that makes it a very safe environment to work in.
Absolutely. That is what makes it. All right. So quickly, let's take a few more fan questions
Okay.
before we wrap this up because everybody's getting really angry with me that I'm not asking their questions to you.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to quickly scroll up
Anytime soon.
and ask you a few. Who's your favorite wicket keeper? Somebody's asking.
Who's my favorite wicket keeper? MS Dhoni. Isn't that everyone's favorite wicket keeper?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine. It is MSD.
Is
One
that person
very
a
good question
wicket keeper?
that they asked you is how do you balance family life with your professional life when you're so busy with travel and everything? And I think
Yeah.
this is one thing that you and I'd like to ask you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think because Stu and I are in such, in a way, similar fields. We're both in cricket, and both of us both of us are always traveling. And we both started our careers together in that sense that only after we got together that, you know, things get on the rise for both of us. So it's been a parallel journey. So there's a tremendous amount of understanding between your partner about that. Sometimes you're not really there for the birthdays or the anniversary, but you have the rest of your life together. So that's I think one way that I have been able to balance it is because I have such an understanding, supportive, and compassionate partner in this,
Yeah.
and like I wholeheartedly support his career and he wholeheartedly supports mine, you know, and we'll both have our moments in those waves, and we've been, sometimes you're not there physically, but you're always there for each other. So that's the one way to do it, because you're right, we're both always on the road, and then you're still trying to run a household at the same time, and it can be a little challenging, but the private part of our life is like any normal couple, especially like now. It's just the day is just all cooking, cleaning, watching, looking after a house, watching stuff together. So it's very normal that way.
I'm sure. And it's so important to find such a supportive partner. I was watching your interview with Shivani also, where
Yeah.
you mentioned about how important it is to find a support partner in a
Oh,
situation where
absolutely.
both of you are on the road and 52 matches back to back. When you do that in IPL, I don't think you get a time to even look at yourself in the mirror when you're like, you
Absolutely.
don't know what day it is.
Yeah. And it's that's where I think the
Are you there?
extra
Sorry.
effort really, yeah, that's I think where
Sorry.
the extra, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
I think that's where the extra effort really counts. Like there have been times where Stuart has finished a game, finished Ranji Trophy, and then by himself left a day early, come to where I am to spend a day with me, or vice versa. I've done that. Okay, there's a break in between games. I'll go to, because it won't necessarily be at home. You know, you're both at different parts of the country, so we've done that for each other. We've tried to be there for the big moments, and there's a lot of that. And it's more important that you get to spend even that one day with a person and then break for 10 days, but you make that effort to be able to spend that one day. So that's something that both of us have consistently done with each other. And from the beginning, like from his Ranji Trophy days to playing with India, whenever it was allowed, he would always be like, "Can my partner join me?" And those arrangements were always made because I would get a break in between games and things like that. Yeah, so it takes a lot of effort, but then you have someone who thinks that way as well, and it's been really special.
Perfect. I'm going to ask you one more question to wrap this up. And I think it was Pratik who was asking, are you missing the ground during this time and how are you handling the lockdown?
Um, am I missing the ground? I think everyone's missing it a little bit. How are we handling the lockdown like everyone else, staying at home, staying safe, trying new recipes every day? Look for someone like two of us who spend so much time apart. For most of our marriage, we've been apart as well, like I was just saying. So uh, in a way, you look at it this in a different light. You look, okay, we finally have that time together and we're doing it. I think a lot of us like who are staying at home don't really know what's going to happen next, and we're just trying to deal with it day by day and take it step by step. But we understand that this is for a greater cause, and that's we want to just do our duty as citizens, as individuals who can help others through that period, and that's pretty much what we're doing. Just missing the live cricket, missing the cricket, but there's a lot of cricket going right now on Star Sports, a lot of like matches that you can look back on. So it's fine. You can still see all of that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of, cricket archives to catch up on, and we can definitely go and look there.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much, Mayanti.
No,
Thanks a
thank you,
lot. I
Ridhima.
hope you enjoy this lockdown period and stay safe, stay healthy. Is there anything that you'd like to say to everyone during these times?
It's the same thing. I think we need to do what's important, and I just want everyone to stay safe and stay at home. And of course, it can be a little challenging at times, but you never know when you will get this sort of time again. So try and make the most of it. Try and help others if you can, and try and just have a little bit of patience. That's the most important thing in this period. And same to you, Ridhima. Stay safe. I hope you and your family are keeping safe as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much for doing this. And this
Of
was
course.
long overdue. It
Yeah,
took a pandemic for us to have a chat.
I know.
That's not great. I think I'm just going to give you a call someday to know what are you having for
Please do
dinner.
that. Yeah, please do that, and then we can maybe do what everyone else is doing and share some cooking recipes because everyone's become master chef now.
Yeah, I'm really bad at cooking, so I really need some recipes. If you can share some,
We
my
are also
parents are going
still
to be so
learning.
happy.
We can maybe get some of the audience to contribute there because we're also learning in the process.
100%. I think that's a great idea. That's another move that we can make out there.
Yes,
But
yes.
thank you
No,
so much. Can't thank you
thank you,
enough for
Ridhima.
this.
Thank you. Thanks you guys for joining as well. Please stay safe and hopefully see you all soon.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you. Bye.